I've already noticed. There. Okay, there. So I haven't replied yet on your academic prompt. So please give me time to reply. Now, if you have noticed, we don't have activities in Module 3 and Module 4. It's because the supplement supposedly for the third and fourth exam would be cases. However, I was unable to upload the case because these are the cases being discussed last meeting. I mean, last term. Anyway, so instead, I just give what do you call this, academic prompt and self-assessment activity later on. Okay, so mamaya I will upload a self-assessment activity and and sit works as an equivalent for your activities to be submitted for the third and fourth exam. Okay, now the topic for your third module 3 is ethical issues in business and corporate environment. Any question from the class or clarifications about the issues? Now, all of these are self-explanatory, and actually, I'm not the one who created your module 3 and 4. It is I believe Sir Ryan and Ma'am Noreen, because I made only the module 1 and module 2, the first and second exam coverage. A third and fourth would be their part, and this is what they've sent me. Anyway, okay. So, any clarifications about the topics on the issues of the business and corporate environment? Anyone would like to ask for any clarifications, maybe? Hello? Mhm. Hello? Dumban ko. I think so.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
There. All right. So, any clarifications? Ethical issues. These are the common issues under our corporate environment. No? Number one is workplace sexual harassment. So, um, we already have several examples of sexual harassment under an organization. So, we have here enumerated the examples of sexual harassing behavior includes unwelcoming touching, staring or leering, suggestive comments or jokes. So these are all considered sexual harassment. So unwelcoming touching, that's why your managers or your team leaders, if you're working in a BPO industry, they're not allowed to touch, only tap at the back. That's it. Only 3 taps at the back, and then no prolonged touches and so on, because that could be a subject to a sexual harassment. So, normally, according to our Discrimination Act of 1984, defines the nature and circumstances of sexual harassment is unlawful, and this is actually a criminal offense. Okay, so you can be penalized this. And another one is gift and bribery. Now, normally, some of the organizations allows gifts in kind, as long as it is not too tremendous, it is not too big, as long as it can only be quantifiable as, an act of gratitude. Okay, so question, how can we consider gifts as an act of gratitude? Well, the value of the gifts matter. Okay, and bribery in the form of cash. That's why in every organization they're not allowed to receive cashes from their clients for thanking for their services. Instead, they will accept in kind. The in kind normally acceptable are food. Pero yung mga luxury bags and so on and so forth, that can be considered gifts and bribery, and that is not allowed in any corporate environment. No, corporate world. Okay. Another one is conflict of interest. Now, so there are plenty of issues regarding conflict of interest in an organization, especially if you are in a business organization. Let's just say, You work in a mall as a manager, in a grocery store, and yet you have a sari-sari store on your own or convenience store on your own. And that is a conflict of interest, and that is not allowed. Okay, meaning that is actually a self-serving. So therefore, you have an advantage from your bias advantage from your corporate world to your own personal business, and that is what we call sometimes conflict arises. Okay, if you have noticed, some of the public teachers are not allowed to, you know, to have businesses outside from their teaching career, no, named after them, because it can have a conflict of interest where your time will be divided from teaching to your own business, because especially if your business is, parang the working hours of your business are the same with the working hours of your work. So that's something, if they have conflict in in what they call this, in your primary job. Okay. Another one is abuse of power. Now, abuse of power or power harassment or power tripping is a misuse of authority to take actions in personal interests that negatively impacts the company and its employee. Now, abuse of power, this is actually, how can we guarantee that there is an abuse of power practiced by your managers, or your immediate supervisor, is that when they ask you to do something and the consequence is your performance evaluation, to do something that is actually beyond with your job's description, and that's already considered as an abuse of power. Okay, so that is actually one of the determinants of abuse of power. Another one is that, let's just say, in a department, there were six of you working under one supervisor. I mean, and then the supervisor only point you out to do almost all the tasks, and the other five co-employee done nothing, and that is considered as well as an abuse of power. Okay, so you can complain that for abuse of power. Okay, now labor strikes, the right to strike. So employee have the right to strike in an organization, especially when their claims are consensus in nature. So meaning majority of the employees has the same comments or sentiments when it comes to the policy of the top management. So you all have the rights to strike. However, this particular right to strike is not embedded to all employee, or I mean not compulsory to all employee. This should be voluntary. So meaning, if mag-strike mo, you cannot force one employee to join your strike, okay, your union in providing a strike for the organization, because that is also unlawful. Okay. Now, here we have strikes unlawful because of purpose. Now, the strike becomes unlawful because of an object or purpose or of the strike is unlawful. A strike is support of a union unfair labor practices only, and that is only allowed for our strike. Okay, whistleblowing. Some of the issues of the whistleblowing now. Normally, when you resign from your organization because you found something in your organization and you apply to another organization and you whistleblow whatever the practices of the other organization, and that is allowed. I mean, that is not allowed. Okay, that is one of the unethical consideration. And normally, HR would not hire someone who is a whistleblower. Okay, because it is discriminatory in nature, and that is unfair to the organization. Okay. Recruitment of candidates, that is a very common, because there are some ethical issues of the recruitment of candidates where, well, um, In many cases, unethical behaviors are not illegal, but they do give the industry a bad reputation. So this is actually the recruitment candidates for family, cousins, and close friends and relatives are not illegal in nature. However, it will have a bad impression to the organization where you prioritize unqualified people because it is dear to you. The reason why there will be prioritized in hiring. So there are some ethical issues about that. Okay, normally, especially in a government office, diba? If you're a member of the family have an item and then if they are due for retirement, the practices in an organization is prioritized for those next kin of the retiree employee na sila yung papalit sa item. So that is very rampant in a government agency and that is an unfair practices for hiring. Okay, for the ethical consideration, but that is not illegal. Okay, and then what else? There's this self-explanatory employee promotion. Now, this is very rampant in an employee promotion where these people who are considered sip-sip will be the first one to be promoted. So that is there are plenty of unethical issues. Or favoritism will boils down to employees promotion. The reason why some of the employees will be advanced in promotion or prioritized in promotion because of favoritism of its immediate supervisor. Though, um, if that can be backed up with performance matrix, then that is okay. However, if that is too obvious, that meaning the reason why they're promoted, it's because you have an unfair treatment of division of labor or division of work where one's ability and capability to do the task is not being given chance to prove them, then that's the time that sometimes promotions are subjective. Okay? Kasi normally ginagawa ng mga manager is that, uy, meron tayong promotion next year pero ito yung kailangan nila na matrix in order for your promotion to be approved. So gawin mo ito lahat ng mga trabaho. And once you do that, only for a specific person and not to everyone, then that is the unethical issues. I mean, the unethical practices arises in employees promotion. Okay? So, what else? All of the others are self-explanatory. Money laundering, that is a criminal offense. Okay? So, it is a criminal offense of money laundering that is actually unquestionable wealth from one people that being transferred to another. And then how are you going to launder that particular stashed money? Okay, so that is actually a criminal offense. So there. So sir, question: how can an organization, I mean, practice money laundering? Well, there are plenty of supports for money laundering. For example, support from the drug lords, where your shipment can be considered as their way of transporting your their drugs. Okay, that are many cases happens in that particular area, and even inside the organization where the processes or operational processes are being paid by money with unquestioned money or questioned money, and that is money laundering, considered still as a money laundering. It's a criminal offense. Tax evasion, that is self-explanatory. What else? Okay, the rest here are very self-explanatory. Now, if you do have any questions, you may raise it now, or any further clarifications. Anyone?
Sir.
Yes, Chris, go ahead.
Um, in the just wage part, sir,
Mm-hmm.
it stated here that as per St. Thomas Aquinas, he said that just wage is not fixed with mathematical precision but depends on a kind of estimate. The explanation, sir, is for me it was vague. So I can you elaborate it further, sir?
Okay, just wage. Now, from a strict economic point of view, wages are nothing more than the price of a labor, which are determined by the free agreement of buyer and seller. From an ethical perspective, however, wages are often sole means of income for individuals and families, and workers have the right to wages that are sufficient to provide the necessities of housing, food, and clothing. Now, when we talk about just wave, that is actually where the what to call this? That is actually where our minimum wage are being evaluated for the cost of living in the city. Diba? Meron tayong cost of living na tinatawag, and that is actually the minimum wage. The reason why the government set the minimum wage, because that is the average living standard living in one family. So let's just say a family of four. Okay, so meron kang dalawang anak and then you will receive a minimum wage. That is enough for the family to survive. So basic necessity, to provide necessity, that is food, shelter, at least you can actually rent, or clothing. And that is how we understand the just wage. Okay, so therefore, one organization, if they're paying below the minimum wage, then that is actually the unethical practices, and that can be sued based on our labor DOLE, the labor code. That is not allowed. So you should pay your employee a minimum wage if you hire more than 10 employees, and if your business is actually have a net worth of above 5 million in capital. So pwede. So whichever comes first. So if you hire more than 10 employees, so you need to pay them with minimum wage. If ever you only have 5 employees and yet your capitalization is more than 5 million, then you still have to pay them the minimum wage. So that is actually how we guarantee just wage, because the ancient practices of just wage depends on the organization's value of their labor. So mahirap kasi one organization will value janitor as the least, but sa other organization value janitor as the middle. Like for example, in hotels and so on and so forth, the housekeeping are considered janitors in other organization, but they are paying higher because of the nature of business that they have. So in that concept, it is biased in nature. Okay, because that is the old one. So reason why now they classify it just to solve all these issues. They have the just wage rather. So determined in the minimum wage. So it's a prerogative of the organization to pay above the minimum wage, but never below the minimum wage. Okay, and that is what we mean by just wage rather. Sorry. Okay. What else? Wala na.
So,
Yeah,
in,
go
in
ahead.
ancient times pa ito na ano sir na na-implement itong just wage.
Yeah, ancient time pa yun yung just wait under the Industrial Revolution. It's because that is where the massive labor occurs. So in order to protect the laborers, because there are unfair treatment of the labor during Industrial Revolution, reason why union arises. Now, during the union, the group of laborers actually, have this strike to give them what is due to them based on the price of their labor, because during that time, the Industrial Revolution, that is the beginning of the industrialization. So meaning laborers for creating building bridges and roads are very important. Reason why they demanded to have a higher wage salary, and that is how the beginning of having a just wage rather, based on the job they perform. Now, as an HR, every rank has different wage benefits, or wage, what they call this, wage bracket. So, di ba, meron tayong salary grade 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth in government institutions. But in private institutions, based on position. So, you have quantifiable amount on how are you going to put the just wage. For example, dili man pwede na ang frontliner natin or the rank and file position would have the same wage salary bracket to the manager. Well, in fact, the manager has more jobs, or they incur decision making, which will give a better profit to the organization rather than the rank and file position. And that's how we give value to the price of labor each of the employee um, did in an organization. And that's how we provide a just wage. So parang fair wage lang to everyone. Okay? So that is how we understand the just wave. Now, on the module, the traditional of Catholic social teaching does not take such a stark view of the matter. As with the concept of the just price, the idea of the just wave combines the subjectivity of the diverse needs and preferences of individual with the objective demands of justice. Now, according to St. Thomas Aquinas wrote in regard to prices, the just wage is not fixed with mathematical decision, but depends on the kind of estimate. When we talk about um, the kind of estimate, it depends on the top management, how much they value one position. As long as, based on the law, the written law of the human law, you will not go below with the minimum wage. So depende na, because there are some organization pays higher the manager from the other organization. So it depends on your estimate. So therefore, it's up to the employee whether how much you're going to exert effort in doing your job based on your wage being given to you. Depends. Okay, so kasi it's just an estimate, and sometimes just wage is subjective in nature. When we talk about subjective in nature, it's not just about monetary value, but rather all other benefits. So some organization, they just paid minimum wage, but the other benefits are also tremendous. And other organization pays higher wages, but the other benefits are absent. So it depends on how one organization quantify its value, depending on the employees they have, the classification of the employees they have. For example, if one organization hires or majority of their employees are married individual with at least two siblings, then they give more value on the benefits. What are these benefits? Like hospitalization, so on and so forth, that their family can benefit. Reason why, kahit maliit yung sahod, they will still stay in your organization because the benefits, your family or your children will still can enjoy the benefits that you are receiving from the organization. So there are that is how we quantify just wage. It depends on the estimates on how the organization values your position, and it is very subjective in nature. Depends on the strategy of the organization and how they're going to attract their employees based on their wages, compensation package or wage package or benefits. Okay. All
Yes,
right.
sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Okay, so all the rest of the topics are self-explanatory. Now, please wait for the additional activity that I'll be posted for your third and fourth exam coverage. So again, sir, question, deadline ba dayon na sa imong activity na i-post karong Friday? No, that is until final. Okay, so the activity that I will be posting maybe this week, not later than this week, and another one next week for the final exam. The deadline would be the final exam. Okay? So, yung deadline nyo lang for week 3 or for module 3 is the academic prompt posted. So, magre-reply ako doon sa mga academic prompt replies ninyo within this week. Okay? So, that's it for now. And kasi meron akong training, so late na kayo ko sa training. Anyway, so sige lang. Wala na ako na-anticipate kasi karon na po ko giingnan sa among training is. Okay? So, that's it. So, have a great day, everyone. And then I will post this recording in the LMS later. Okay? So, goodbye.
Thank
Enjoy.
you, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
See you tomorrow sa ato ang synchronous chat. Mag-chat gyapon ta
Thank you,
tomorrow.
sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Sige. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.